Hello and welcome back to the PlayStation Cove. It seems that 1 out of every 3 people who subscribe to my channel later unsubscribe. These aren't the best odds, so I thought I'd talk to an unsubscriber.
Why did you unsubscribe?
Even though not being developed directly by Rocksteady, ignoring Arkham Origins and calling Arkham Knight the final entry in the trilogy on the back of the box is a bit rude. Arkham Knight is the 4th and final entry in Batman's main Arkham series of video games, and while it even takes some mechanics from Arkham Origins while conveniently ignoring its existence, is this the magnum opus the series has been waiting to end on? If you've played any of the Arkham series, the combat will be familiar to you, and since it's not broken, it doesn't need to be fixed. Regardless, there are still some enhancements, primarily the more rewarding stealth multi-takedown. Don't worry though, because even if you've played all of the Arkham games like I have, the later fights will still challenge you with a good mix-up of enemies. What's really the new mechanic here is the Batmobile, and boy do they make sure you use it to its full extent. From crazy, gravity-defying racing to tank battles, you will get good at using the Batmobile. You use it so much, in fact, that it's more of a sidekick than your greatest gadget. And that posed a bit of a concern to me, as I worked with my Batmobile more than any of my allies. The Batmobile is supposed to be Batman's most iconic piece of tech, not his greatest sidekick. Regardless of the excessive usefulness, I don't deny that it's an absolute blast to use. Before you know it, you're cleaning up the streets with it, and in the end, I will admit that moving from the Batmobile to the air has never made it feel so good to be Batman. Once you decide to work with humans instead of high-tech machinery, though, you'll find yourself in a good myriad of allies ranging from Nightwing to Robin to Catwoman, boobs, and Poison Ivy in your trunk. Even Batman can't resist these fine lady villains. But hey, who can deny Harley's nice butt? I've said it before and I'll be saying it again here. The way side missions and main missions are handled is becoming a sort of hybrid, melding the two in a way that makes it feel just as important to get in on the excitement outside of the primary story. In this way, Arkham Knight does something that no other game has ever managed to do to me: get me addicted to its content. You might just find yourself completing a lot more of the game than you thought, simply because it's so conveniently part of the open world to chase down villains. Speaking of which, since I pre-ordered it on PS4, I also had access to Harley's story mission as well as Scarecrow's racing missions, which was a nice touch and I can't complain. Be prepared to say whoa very early on. The amount of mileage they've gotten out of Unreal Engine 3, coined Unreal Engine 3.5 due to being heavily modified, rivals what we've seen of Unreal Engine 4's tech demos. And while it experiences some frame rate dips and common open world glitches like stuck bodies or rain inside, Oracle, I feel your pain, it's as impressive a current generation game as it gets. And while it may not have to render the type of foliage other open world games like The Witcher 3 have to, it makes up for it in both style and shader work. There's no denying that this is a graphically impressive game that makes even the most skeptical of graphics whores become wide-eyed and bushy-tailed. However, not all is peachy in the presentation department. Yep, probably the game's only other flaw than the fun but overused Batmobile is the story. It's not that the story is bad, but that it starts reaching towards a climax and then instead just plateaus into an expected win for Batman by show of strength, even if just mentally. The struggle was still there, but it just doesn't hold a candle to Arkham City's story presentation, and it's a bit disappointing for all the things it gets right leading up to its final hours. Fortunately, the voice acting is all there and of high caliber, with Joker maintaining as the standout.
Brains, brawn, brutality, the full package.
Yes, I admit it almost brought a bit of a tear to my eye to realize that this is it, that this is the end of the Batman Arkham series. This was the full and final realization of Rocksteady's journey to bring Batman to the modern era of gaming, and it was done on a level that not only rivals, but in some way bests Christopher Nolan's modern take on Batman movies. And while I can't say that this game is the pinnacle of the series, as that rightfully belongs to Arkham City, Arkham Knight is the fitting end to the Dark Knight he deserves, and I cannot express in any more words how much I am compelled to recommend that every Batman fan buy this game. In fact, I take that last sentence back. I think anyone who's a fan of a good action-adventure game should buy this game. I give Batman Arkham Knight a 9 out of 10.
Miss me.
That's it for today. Subscribe for more PlayStation 4 content greatness. I'll see you next time on the PlayStation Cove.